What if I told you that I stole my own dad's winning lottery ticket so I could cash in on the jackpot myself? Meanwhile, I justified the theft by telling myself that my dad was such a jerk that he didn't deserve to win a multi-million-dollar jackpot. For example, since I was a 3-year-old child, my dad forbid me to cry because, according to him, crying was manipulative and weak. I also remember the night I got appendicitis. I was curled up on my bed in pain and tears, and only after hours of me suffering, my dad said, "Fine, I'll call the ambulance, but I swear to God, if I see one more tear rolling down your face, you'll regret it." And so the ambulance came and took me to the hospital. The whole way there, my father kept staring at me to see if I showed any more signs of weakness. Worse, though, was that my dad forbade my mom to show any affection towards me. Nothing made my dad angrier than seeing my mom wish me a good day at school or ask me how my day was. So eventually, she gave up and stopped showing that she loved me. She just couldn't take dad's punishments anymore, and I can't blame her for that. However, it hurt to not feel loved by my parents, and I think we all develop different coping mechanisms to deal with our pain. Some people become workaholics so they can stay at work all day and avoid the problems in their marriage. Others live in complete denial of reality. And then there are people like me who turn to drugs to temporarily escape the pain. For me, it started with junk food, but as time went on, I switched over to worse and worse stuff, whatever I could get my hands on to shortly take my mind off my problems. Meanwhile, I blamed everything bad in my life on my dad. Almost as a revenge, I kept stealing stuff from him, and once a week I checked his lottery tickets. I did it for years to see if he ever hit it big. Sometimes he'd win a few $100s, but it was never enough to be worth stealing. Well, until he hit the jackpot. You see, the lottery numbers are drawn on Saturday night, and my dad only checked his lottery numbers on Sunday morning. So in the night in between, I faked a burglary at our own house. I did so by smashing the little basement window we had, because there, no one could hear the noise of the broken glass. I climbed inside, made a huge mess to make it look like a real robbery, and then stole both my mom's and dad's purses. Luckily, the next morning, when my dad found out that someone had broken into his house, he got so upset that he completely forgot about the lottery ticket. He had no suspicion whatsoever. A week later, I finally went to my state's lottery headquarters to cash in on the prize. I was lucky that I'd been named after my dad because he had written his signature on the back of the lotto ticket, and it looked similar enough to the one on my own ID. I thought that was enough to prove that I'd been the one who'd purchased the ticket, but these lotto people also checked whether the store my dad had purchased the ticket from had a video camera installed. Luckily, it didn't, because otherwise I would have been in serious trouble. Anyway, just 5 days later, they wired me the jackpot into my bank account. You might wonder why I haven't mentioned yet how much I actually won. That's because I lost it all later on, and I hate thinking about it. But my jackpot winnings were $15 million. The first thing I did was to move away from my parents. Of course, I hadn't told them that I was rich now, but I did ask my mom if she wanted to leave dad and come with me. Unfortunately, she said no and stayed with that douchebag. Either way, I was 18 years old and a deeply damaged human being. My parents had emotionally neglected me for most of my life. For years, no one had given me a hug or told me that they loved me. But now, I was free of them and decided to move to Miami. I got myself a fake ID and went partying every night to meet beautiful women. It's just so easy when you're rich. It felt as if everyone loved me. Meanwhile, I was eager to impress all these people I met with my money because deep down, I still felt that without money, I wasn't worthy of anybody's attention or love. So I became the cool rich guy that buys drinks for everyone. One of my new friends even asked me to borrow him $40,000 for a business idea he had. He said he could pay it back with interest within 2 weeks. Deep down, I knew I couldn't trust the guy, but I didn't want to look cheap or like $40K mattered to me, so I just gave him the money. And of course, I never saw it again. In fact, I heard from others that scumbag bought himself a new car with my money. Worse than the friends I made during that time were the girls I met. Just never date a girl that likes you for your money. Never. I thought Selena was different because she always told me to stop taking so many pills. That's why I thought she actually cared about me. However, despite my best efforts, I failed again and again to overcome my addictions. That's why Selena was so disgusted by me. She often called me pathetic, and one time she said, "Why do I even date you if you will OD anyway?" Looking back, I can see how cruel she was. But at the time, I would have done anything to not lose her. I just loved her too much. So to compensate for my character flaws, I spent more and more money to keep Selena happy. One time, I overslept and missed our brunch date. So, as an apology, I took her on a trip to Italy. We flew private, and all in all, it cost me $350,000. At that point, I had spent half of my $15 million jackpot winnings. Of course, the closer I came to losing all my money, the more anxious I got. And the more anxious I got, the more pills I took to quell my anxiety. It was a vicious circle. When Selena again threatened to break up with me over my addictions, I begged her to give me one last chance. She agreed under the condition that I checked myself into rehab. So that's what I did. While in rehab, my mom came to visit me, and it broke her heart to find out that I was an addict. She blamed herself for my problems and kept apologizing for having been such a bad mother. I asked her, "How is Dad doing?" And she told me that he had recently lost his job and had become even more violent than usual. She said he was always angry and often went to certain shady places. I said, "Perfect, Mom. You're finally fed up with him. Now dump him and move in with me. I need you as support, and maybe you need me too." "But I haven't had a job in decades. How could I afford to leave him?" "I told you I won some money gambling. I will take care of you." It took a few more months before my mom made the final jump and moved in with me, but it gets better. My dad was so mad at my mom for leaving him that he immediately filed for divorce. That's why on the day she signed the divorce papers, I sent $1 million right into her bank account, with my dad getting none of it because they were divorced now. My mom was financially independent now and has since even managed to find a new boyfriend who treats her well. However, once I got out of rehab, my anxiety quickly came back. Probably because I still loved Selena and spent way too much money on her. One night, I calculated how much longer I could afford to pay for her expensive lifestyle needs, and it came out to only about 9 months. Then I'd run out of money and be broke. Realizing I was out of options, I had a full-blown panic attack and relapsed into drugs. I went to a bar and drank to calm myself down. Unfortunately, that's when I had a really dumb idea. I thought my life would be worthless soon anyway once I'd lost all my money. So why not risk it all? I decided to go to a casino and asked how I could bet a large sum of money. They told me I could transfer the money to their bank account. And so I waited until my bank opened the next morning and told them to transfer all of my remaining money, around $5 million, to the casino's bank account. Everything I owed was on the line, and at 11 a.m. in the morning, I went back into the casino. They confirmed the bank wire was successful and asked me what I wanted to play. I only knew how to play roulette, so I nervously walked over to the table. I could have bet all my money on either black or red and doubled my money, but I wanted to get back to my initial $15 million. So I did something riskier and bet on the numbers 1 to 12. Here, I had an almost 1 in 3 chance to triple my money because there are 37 numbers on a roulette table, and my chance of hitting a number between 1 and 12 is almost 33%. Well, as I mentioned in the beginning of this story, I lost it all. And if that wasn't shameful enough, afterward I immediately ran to my mom and asked if I could have back half of the $1 million I had given her. She's my mom, so of course she said yes without hesitation. So I went back to the casino and lost another $500,000 that my mom had desperately needed for her retirement. I can't put into words how much I hate myself. But you know what? After I lost it all, I moved back in with my mom. I told her about all the stupid things I've done, and she didn't care. She loves me despite my flaws. I've also realized that one beautiful day I can tell my dad that I stole his winning lottery ticket and spend all the money on women and pills. I can't wait to see his face. He will probably try to kill me. But I'll wait until my mom has spent her remaining $500,000 because otherwise my dad might get half of it because it came from his lottery ticket while they were still married. At the same time, I've kind of learned to forgive my dad for being such a bad father and husband. Mom recently told me that my dad's mother excessively drank alcohol during her pregnancy. So maybe my dad's brain didn't get enough oxygen in her belly, and that's why he became such a douchebag. Mom also told me that despite everything, Dad had always believed that his strict parenting style was good. He thought he was doing what was necessary to raise a disciplined and successful son. Well, I don't know what to make of all this, but I know I have to stop taking pills and stop blaming my dad for everything bad in my life.